All right, guys, got some trash for you straight from CNBC, the never-ending dumpster fire of a publication titled, "Meet the Student Loan Borrowers Refusing to Pay Their Debt, Hoping Biden Will Forgive It." Yeah. Well, a wise man once said, wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up faster, right? So the Biden Jubilee 100 is a group of student loan borrowers who have stopped paying their debts. Well, newsflash, we haven't had to pay our student loans in the United States for going on a year now, and the earliest we'll start to have to pay them is September of 2021. So I guess good on you. I mean, isn't that futility kind of poetic in that, like, they're making a group where they don't even, we're refusing to pay our debts. Oh, I guess don't tell anybody that we don't have to pay them in the first place right now. So good for you, I guess. The Debt Collective, which calls itself a union for debtors, that might be a historical first, has organized the strike of borrowers who hope to put pressure on President Joe Biden to cancel the country's $1.7 trillion outstanding student loan balance. So if you're an investor that wants to pick a country to invest in or loan money to, do you pick the country that pays off its debts or that doesn't? That perhaps at the strike of a pen, or the stroke of a pen rather, just whoops, here you go. Oh, sorry, you're SOL on that. Sleepy Joe over there, he decided that nobody had to pay you back, so sorry. But keep bringing money here, keep investing. That we want you to do that. We're trustworthy. Yeah, right? We're not going to forgive any more debt or anything or do anything crazy with the currency, So even after years of paying $1,000 a month toward his student loans and his wife's, their balance hadn't decreased by much. They still owed around $80,000, down from the $90,000 they'd originally borrowed. So to me, it's like, years? Is that 13 months? Is that 24 months? Is that 36 months? I mean, you'd think, I would expect it to go down by about that in 15 months, but it's like, hey, you know what, dude? Sorry, you got the debt. You married a woman that had it. Why are you did you not know that this was going to happen? Did you not take, I don't know, a day's worth of time to research the field that you were going into? Why does the United States as a whole have to cover for your stupid, ignorant laziness that puts you in a position where now I guess will probably be able to pay it back, but it won't be very easy? I don't know. So I started trying to understand what we were doing wrong. Fabaras, 41. Is this paying student loans? Okay, said. Well, what you did wrong was you failed to think for yourself, for one. You're also lazy in that you didn't pursue a very good degree field. I don't know what semi-smart person goes, yeah, I'm going to make $35,000 a year for 20 years, but I'm going to get a $60,000 loan to pay for it. Okay, I guess follow your heart and the money will follow, right? Wrong? His research quickly moved away from his own loan statements into a larger student debt system. Yes, it's not my fault, it's the system's fault. Maybe it's patriarchy, white people, I'm a minority POC. Racism, it's their fault, not my fault. I'm not the one that chose to go to school for a useless degree because I'm a lazy idiot. No, it's everybody else's fault. Nice. So the Lakeside, California resident read about the millions of borrowers in default and how many people's payments were only going to interest on their debt, meaning their balances weren't dropping either. Oh no, somebody failed to read the fine print. Aren't you college educated or something here, big shot, right? But you can't read was that not in the note that you signed to get the fucking debt? Come on, man. I remember thinking, it's unsustainable. It's a trap, Fabra said. We need to rethink this system and try for something else. Well, the system definitely needs to be rethought as a whole, but it's far and away more complicated than just this egregious lending, going to college, Ponzi pyramid scheme that's been going on for the last 50 years. I remember Fabaras has now joined the Biden Jubilee 100, a group of 100 student loan borrowers who have stopped paying their debt. Which is funny because as far as I know, Jubilee, that's the term that you would get from reading the Bible. And I bet you these people are all kind of lefty and thereby far more closer to Satan insofar as Christian theology is concerned than people who follow God. So it's just a funny name there, right? You got to look for all this symbolism and choices of names and stuff when you look at this shit show that is going on outside here. The Debt Collective, which calls itself a union for debtors, has organized the strike. Yeah, because there already wasn't a shitload of people in default. You guys are so special, hoping to pressure President Joe Biden to cancel the country's entire outstanding student loan balance of $1.7 trillion. We're going to win what we organized for. Yeah, said Thomas Goki, co-founder of the Debt Collective. It's you got a useless, stupid group full of useless, stupid people, and they still manage to sub-organize themselves into, you're going to be HR, you're going to be the co-founder, and you're the president, and you're the registrar of of events and doop-a-doo. Yeah, we learned how to do all this shit in college. You know? On the campaign trail, Biden said he supported $10,000 in student loan forgiveness, but he is under mounting pressure from members of his own party, advocates, and borrowers to go further by canceling $50,000 per person and to do so through executive action. So first of all, up in the air whether or not Biden can even do that. You know, that I'm sure there's plenty of people with a lot of money in the student loan racket that would have a bit of an issue with him just wiping it off the table. And then what about everybody who already paid their loans? Again, I kind of touched on this with a video just earlier this week. It's like, what if, let's say Jim Bob over here, he went to school for his STEM degree, and his first year of getting a $70,000 a year job, because you can get a good job if you don't get a worthless degree. You know, he was eating, what are those called? Those shitty little sausages, whatever. Oh, Vienna sausage and ramen noodle, and to pay his loans off. And he doesn't get a 50, so he was responsible, he planned ahead, did research, and did the right smart things, and he gets screwed. Whereas these losers in the Jubilee 100 Club, they did nothing but screw up, waste time, and piss away resources, which they're doing in the very creation of a group like this, and they get a $50,000 bailout. Well, newsflash, there's plenty of people who have debt well into the six figures, so it's like, just don't even, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Or at the very least, go back and everybody who paid their shit off early for the last 20 years, go cut them a check for that money too. Then we can talk about this being fair, right? You know, although Biden in the past has expressed hesitation about canceling student loan debt without Congress, yeah, Biden doesn't give one flying fuck about Congress. He's just saying that to backpedal, because I don't know if it's new to these idiots that are in debt over their heads, but politicians lie to you to get your vote. They lie about all sorts of stuff. So White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki suggested this month that the administration hadn't ruled out the possibility. Yeah, that's government speak for eat shit and bark at the moon, pleb. You ain't getting shit. Biden extended a pause on payments for federal student loan borrowers that has been in effect since March until this coming September. Shitty tweet, scroll past that. Critics of student loan forgiveness argue that it wouldn't significantly stimulate the economy, since college graduates tend to be higher earners who would likely, okay, well that just, college graduates are higher earners, yet there's a systemic problem with people who can't pay their fucking student loan payment. So it's like, maybe the people that got good degrees, they're higher earners, but not just going, I mean, you guys probably know better than anybody else, especially if you're under 35, that a lot of these people that have degrees are idiots because they got degrees in psychology or the liberal arts or just anything that's not STEM, you know. My fireplace keeps scaring me. But they're more likely to save their money. So is basically what they're saying is that, so if we do this, it's not going to stimulate the economy because they're not going to spend it. And it's like, okay, well, there's a systemic issue. Like, why do we have an economy based around spending on frivolous bullshit instead of rewarding people for saving and making smart investment decisions and actually working and providing value? So others say it would be unfair to those who've already paid off their student debt, or never took out loans, and it would send the message that it's okay for people to ditch their debts. And the broader message that it sends is that you're fundamentally not responsible for your decisions, which it sounds good. It sounds good. Like if you're one of these people that screwed up and went and got $140,000 in student loan debt, for you, it might be good to have that forgiven to the degree that that's even possible. But to the broader nation and group as a whole, it sends a message that you don't have to be responsible when you consciously screw up. Okay, I'm not saying that if out of the blue for no reason you get cancer, you shouldn't get help from people. You know, it should be voluntary help that they're providing, but yeah, you're totally entitled to it if something due to no fault of your own happens to you. But when you go and screw up again and again and again, you pay for that, not us. Otherwise, we get this culture rot, which is kind of concomitant with the decay of the United States as a whole, where we get these huge groups of people who are fundamentally parasites who don't expect anybody but other people to pay their way through life. And that's not good for any of us. So student loan borrowers are held to an unfair, punishing standard. Well, not really, because you're asking folks to lend you money when you don't have anything but a degree you're supposedly going to finish. Like, go talk to people who lend money for a living. Do you think they just hand it out to people? No, that's just the government that does that, which is ironic because that raises tuition and makes it even, it's an endless cycle. Just the government needs to be out of everything, every aspect that they possibly can. So companies walk away from their debts due to bankruptcies and bailouts, he said, but we're trapped in our debts. Yeah, that's okay, cool point. I'm not too up to snuff on corporate finance, but if you weren't aware, there's like this whole plutocracy type thing going on where corporations can basically get away with anything they want. So maybe you should put your fucking thinking cap on and start a corporation. You know, these laws, they'll work for you too. Sure, you don't have the grease palming ability, but I mean, get a little creative, you know, with that big college-educated brain of yours, right? You can't figure something out. You're smart. Come on. So advocates say that borrowers were struggling We're already struggling before the public health crisis with more than 1 in 4 borrowers in delinquency or default. And that after nearly a year of record high unemployment levels, the pain has only worsened. Well, again, that's the government. The government is the one that shut down the economy. Coronavirus has a literal survival rate of approximately 99%. There was no reason for anything to happen that has happened exclusively via the fiat of governors and the executive branch in countries across the world. So that, again, is the government fault. So the government, it's literally like they break your legs and then expect you to thank them for giving you a crutch, right? They fucked up the economy. Now you can't pay your student loans. And now, yeah, I guess you got to run to them for a bailout. Like I said, vicious cycle. But in a Pew survey, 6 in 10 borrowers said it would be difficult for them to start repaying their student loans again in the coming months. Well, surprise, surprise. You know, there's only so much funny money they can print, folks. I don't know if that, like, registers with a lot of these supposedly intelligent, college-educated people, but proponents also point out that it's people of color, oh, here we go, bearing the brunt of student loan crises. And it's also Black and Latino Americans who suffered the most from the coronavirus pandemic. Well, that's because of the government. So, an aide to Senator Elizabeth Warren said canceling student debt would make the biggest stride toward narrowing the racial wealth gap since the civil rights movement. That's just bullshit. I mean, what do you think? Do you think these people are going to become overnight financiers? Oh, you know, they forgave my student loans. I guess now I'm going to get a job and actually work hard and provide value and make smart decisions with my money. That's not going to happen. Go in your life and find some people that you know that are maybe in the lower caste of society, so let's say lower class and below, and go find out what they spent their stimulus checks on. Go find out what they spent their egregious unemployment benefits on. Dirt bikes, PS5s, vacations, stupid shit. They're not poor because of some systemic issue. They're poor because they continually make bad decisions, because people like the Jubilee 100 group think we should live in a society where nobody faces any negative repercussions for the stupid shit that they do. So Jenny Lazan of Naperville, Illinois, said she's tired of people describing student loan borrowers and those asking for forgiveness as lazy or irresponsible. Well, you are lazy. That's why you picked a degree that you can't get a fucking job with. And you are irresponsible because you made a decision that dug a hole that you may never be able to dig out of. And you're even more irresponsible and lazy because instead of fixing it yourself, which, I mean, if you go and you try hard enough, is doable, let's be honest, you expect a fucking bailout. So you expect a bailout from the organization that caused the problem in the first place. So it's like, what are you just, do you want to just live in this like amniotic sack of government stimulus and make no decision? It's like, fine if you want to do that, but don't expect me to sit here and just passively pay for it and not say jack shit to the contrary, you know? And also don't act like people aren't going to call you lazy or irresponsible when you are the direct embodiment of the reason why Western culture, especially in the United States with respect to this issue, has gone to complete shit. So we're hardworking individuals who just didn't have the intergenerational wealth that allowed us to go to college without debt, said Lazan, 35, who's also joined the strike. No, if you were hardworking, you wouldn't have got a useless fucking degree. And as a mostly white person, I have mostly white friends. I don't have a single one of them that had some massive honeypot of money that they could just draw against to pay cash for tuition for. That's extremely uncommon. Now, do you mean the intergenerational wealth of having a high IQ or a higher IQ than the average brown or black person? I mean, that's not our problem, but even whites with an IQ of 100, they still do this stupid shit. I mean, come on, go look at white women. What are they going to school for? Liberal arts, psychology, you know, anything and everything that doesn't involve working. That's the rule. So you're not hardworking, you're lazy, and like you said, you're irresponsible, and you're also a fucking idiot because you're trying to sit here and act as if white people have some giant stock of money that some of us can just draw from. It ain't, that's not how it works, dude. So it's your fault and your fault only, and you need to deal with it. So she was raised on Chicago's West Side by a single mother who worked as a housekeeper. Why didn't I suspect that was the case? So this is now 2 generations of stupidity. So mommy was so bad at choosing who was to be the father of her child that she not only screwed up her life by sleeping with a loser, she screwed up the life of her child, and then on top of that, went along with this left-wing indoctrination about how, oh, it's big daddy racism and patriarchy. It's like, no, you fucked a loser. That probably means you're stupid. That probably means your kid's going to be stupid, which means they're probably going to go to school for a useless degree and end up $170,000 in debt that they can't pay off because they're fucking lazy. So, yeah, just God, it's unfucking believable, isn't it? But my mother believed that going to college would break the cycle of trauma and poverty we were in. I mean, What are you traumatized because you're a person of color? Like, where's the trauma come in here? And yeah, it hypothetically could break the cycle of poverty you're in, but so could getting a fucking job, you know? If you would have went to school for a STEM degree, yeah, sure, you'd be making $60, $70, $80,000 a year, but you didn't, because that's hard, isn't it? That's hard. And you don't like work, you don't like responsibility, you like being a lazy fucking leech. Lazan ended up attending Benedictine University and the Art Institute of Illinois, Chicago, one of the for-profit schools that has come under fire for misleading students about programs and career outcomes. She owes more than $170,000 in student loans. So, to be fair, I got scammed by a place called Baker College. I could make a video about that, but without going too much into detail, they're basically this bullshit. I wouldn't even call it a diploma mill, because at least with a diploma mill, you can get a job once you're done. But I mean, I can't even imagine how many tens of million dollars they made off poor, stupid people that are lazy like this. But, you know, a well-paying job has been hard to find. Well, no shit. You went to some, what is this, the university? Benedictine University and the Art Institute of Illinois? Art school. What does that sound like? Anything about physics or the trades? No! Useless. So, a well-paying job has been hard to find. Wow! You're college educated and you think you're smart, but you weren't smart enough to figure out that you wouldn't be able to make any money with the degree that you were getting. So a well-paying job isn't hard to find. Last year, working as an adjunct professor and freelancer, two things you can do without a fucking degree, she made $28,000. I know people that work in factories for less than $20,000 an hour that are better people who made more money without expecting the taxpayer to bail them out because they're lazy. Being Hispanic and a woman, I'm up against additional obstacles. I've yet to meet a single Hispanic person who's in my sphere as like a real estate agent who has any substantive evidence that there's this grand conspiracy or any experience to that effect, in addition to what I was saying earlier about how there's just, oh, I'm Hispanic, and it's no, like, no, you're a woman, first of all. That's a huge privilege card. I mean, all the things men will do for women, hire them for what, I mean, we're talking about this mentorship problem now, but the fact of the matter is that white people are so cowardly and cucked that, like, they will roll out the red carpet for POCs when it comes to jobs and this, that, and the other. So that's not really, that's not a barrier. You're just fucking lazy. So many are skeptical that a group of people refusing to pay their loans will lead to any big societal changes. Well, no shit. Sounds like these people might be a little bit smarter. I wonder if they're in mountains of student debt. So it isn't the first time student loan borrowers have said they were going on a student debt strike demanding student loan forgiveness in higher education. Said higher education expert Mark Kantrowitz. How are you a higher education expert? Like, you know, we're in this la-la land of made-up titles and other bullshit that it's like, dude, you're not, what even is that? So it didn't change anything then, and it won't change anything now. Critics also point out that borrowers who default on their student loans face lasting financial consequences, as they should. They might find it difficult to rent an apartment or qualify for new debt, including credit cards, auto loans, and mortgages. Well, let's see. You don't need fucking credit cards. You don't need a fucking car loan. And you really don't need a mortgage. I don't know. See, again, with the college educated and the laziness and the cowardice and the victim mindset, there's a shitload of houses in Detroit you can buy that are very cheap. You could probably afford to buy one in cash. I mean, you might have to work something out with the back taxes with the city of Detroit, but you're a strong, independent woman, right? Hell, that's a city ran by minorities. They ought to be chomping at the bit to hook somebody like you up if we're in this racist la-la land of calamity you think we are. So they might find it difficult to get a job that requires a security clearance or background checks, i.e. government jobs, so sorry, I guess I feel bad for you. Why don't you figure out a way to provide value to other people? Like, is that so hard? Oh, right, it is. It involves working. Which really isn't that bad compared to the shit people had to do 400 years ago, but the laziness is intergalactic and astounding, you know. But Rebecca Valorn, another striker who lives in Salem, Oregon, said her student loans already made these moves impossible. I've had to come to terms that buying property won't be an option. That is flat out fucking false. You could totally buy a property with a bunch of debt. Like I said, the Detroit, I mean, I was being a little sarcastic there, but there are, if you're not a lazy, whiny, cowardly fuck, there is plenty of ways to go about getting a property. The problem is just that it involves work. It involves being told no. It involves talking to mean people. It involves solving problems to which there aren't ready answers to. And that's the problem, is that this person and all those like her are fucking lazy. So I've had to let go of a lot of my hope for the future. Yeah, classic victim mindset. Fuck this bitch. You know, when she learned about the strikers, she felt that the movement could be a chance for change. Well, again, with the wish in one hand and shit in the other trope, right? Not long after Valorn graduated with her law degree from the University of Oregon in 2014, her mother was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer. That's pretty sad. Valorn moved back to Minnesota to care for her. During that time, she couldn't focus on studying for the bar exam. She took whatever job she could find. Okay. In the meantime, Valorn made payments on her student loans when she could, but she still owes around $274,000. At least $40,000 of which is interest. So I guess that sounds about right for a law degree, but I don't really feel bad for them because I kind of feel like they're doing the same thing that, you'll see folks get into real estate with, specifically on the agent side or with respect to wholesaling. Like they think it's really, really easy, and it's not. So people think, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'll just do lawyer stuff all day. Yeah, you realize that when you graduate law school, you got two options. You can join a firm and bust your ass for 50, 60, 70 hours a week for years, or you can start your own firm, which is as difficult as starting any other business. So again, with this laziness, and it's like, again, who is it that requires all these qualifications to be a lawyer? Is it the bar? No. Is it racism? No. It's the fucking government. Just like hundreds of years ago with tradesmen's guilds, shit that still happens to this day, it is through the government that people are able to set up these arbitrary barriers to entry. Like you do not need 3 years of higher ed learning shit that you're never going to use to be an attorney. That's just ridiculous. Like come on. So government inflated the cost of your school. Government made it so there was an expensive barrier to entry to get into what you're doing. And now you want government to bail you out. It's like this never-ending cycle of bailouts once you get the government involved this much in the private sphere. So it's been transformative being in this group and knowing we don't have anything to be ashamed of. That's false. You have a lot to be ashamed of. That's like some sexual degenerate getting around a bunch of other sexual degenerates and thinking that because they're in a group of degenerates that it's somehow okay when it's not, and they should totally be ashamed of their disgusting activity. Well, this is the same shit. Like, you screwed up probably because you're lazy, you have a really shitty attitude, you don't want to do anything for yourself, and being around other people that are like that, ironically, is more toxic for you than not. Like if you were to hang around somebody like me who'd probably make you cry in 5 fucking minutes because I'm not like this namby-pamby ass bitch, you probably would not stay that. I mean, I don't have like this awesome positive attitude, but if you were at least to not hang out with people that were also losers, you might stop being a fucking loser. But they didn't teach you that anywhere in law school because it's all a giant joke. So the article is over, thank God, and it's just, I don't think we're going to get any student loan forgiveness. And if we do, it's going to be a little token, or you're going to have to, have all these different qualifications and different stipulations in order to be able to get it. And it just speaks to the degenerate state of American culture that there are so many people who just want endless bailouts. They don't want any responsibility. They don't want to take any responsibility. They don't want to be punished, I guess, maybe not the best word to use, for their actions. But it's like, listen, the worst thing you can fundamentally do to a person is make it so that they are unable to effectively interact with reality, and you cannot effectively interact with reality if you are never held responsible for the poor decisions you make. Now, it's pretty extreme to be $250,000 fucking dollars in student loan debt, but to zoom out a little bit, it's almost like with, say, attractive women or attractive men, attractive people who go around life thinking that it was their hard work and their success and all this other stuff that led them to where they're at, when in reality, the fact that they were attractive or maybe had a personality that was favored by the existing culture, gives them a huge leg up. But you go and talk to somebody like that and they'll pretend that, they did it all themselves, blah, blah, blah. People don't want to, they want to take responsibility for all the good and not really acknowledge any of the legs up they were given. And so it's really a curse on your soul when you're somebody like, let's say the example of a beautiful woman is perfect, why do you think they turn into nasty bitch Karens? Because they realize once their beauty fades that people never liked them for who they were, even other women. They just wanted to be around them because they were pretty. That was it. That's all they ever were to anybody. And instead of working on something in themselves to make themselves worthwhile beyond their body, they just relied on their beauty, and now they're pissed off. So it's like, the reason that's a curse is because it prevents a beautiful woman from correctly interacting with reality, and that she's not moving in the same way that your average dude would. Like, the average dude is not treated anywhere as well as the average beautiful woman. And so in that case, it creates this worldview that ends up resulting in a lot of this futile anger because it's the old kind of switcheroo. It's almost like getting red pilled, only way worse because, you're a woman. And you come to realize that the amount of lies you were told as a kid or growing up in school or on TV are just staggering. And that's not really new throughout human history, but it's gotten to a pretty fever pitch here with the whole follow your heart, the money will follow, any degree is a good degree, that kind of stupid shit. So hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon.